There is a difference between seeing and understanding. Seeing is what happens when information arrives. Every god in Olympus sees. Zeus sees the mortal world, the sky, the structure of the divine order. Poseidon sees the currents, the pressure differentials, the signals that move through deep water. Even the minor gods see the small disruptions in their narrow domains, the local disturbances that reach their limited attention and go no further. Understanding is different. Understanding is what happens when you hold everything you have seen and everything others have not seen, and the space between those two things simultaneously, and derive from that combination not just what is happening, but what it means and what it will produce, and where the pressure points are before the pressure arrives. I have been doing this for longer than any of them realize. This is not arrogance. It is an accurate description of my position. I understood what Hades was doing before he finished deciding to do it. Not because he was careless. He was not careless. The distributed pressure, the careful return to baseline, the variance disguised as noise. These were precise instruments, applied with the patience of a god who has governed alone for a very long time and learned to think in the time scale of deep things. I respected the work. I still respect it. But I had been watching the structure of Olympus from the inside for the entirety of my existence. I know what the system looks like when it is functioning normally. I know what it looks like when something external is testing it. The difference is not visible in individual signals. It is visible in the relationship between signals, in the specific way that unrelated disturbances cluster around the same unresolved shape without any of them pointing directly at a source. When the first current shifted near the underworld's boundary, I noted it. When the coastal battle accelerated beyond its natural pace, I noted that. When Zeus sent Hermes on a broad survey, rather than a targeted investigation, I understood he had shifted from event-based search to pattern recognition, which meant the signal had crossed a threshold he could feel, but could not name. I had named it before he felt it. I said nothing. Not because I lack certainty, because certainty, deployed too early, is not an advantage. It is exposure. Let me describe what I saw in each of them. Zeus first, because Zeus is the system everything else operates inside. He is the most capable ruler the divine order has produced. I do not qualify this. His ability to govern a structure of this complexity, to maintain coherence across domains as different as the mortal world and the cosmic architecture, to respond to singular threats with concentrated force. These are genuine capabilities, not performances. His reign has lasted because it deserved to last, but capability and structural design are different things. Zeus built his authority around centralized response. Every significant function of divine governance runs through him, not through carelessness, but through choice, because centralized control is the most efficient design for the threats he has historically faced. Single sources, identifiable origins, problems that could be located and addressed. His system is optimized for a world where threats announce themselves. It is slower in a world where they don't. And there is something else, something more personal than structural. Zeus's confidence in his own perception is part of how his authority functions. He governs in part by appearing to know what is happening. When he does not know, when the pattern exists, and he can feel it without being able to name it, The uncertainty does not stay internal. It changes the quality of his attention in ways that affect the entire system. He stretches. He monitors more domains simultaneously. He distributes focus that was previously concentrated. I have spent this season watching him stretch. He is still formidable. But formidable and centered are not the same thing. Poseidon is simpler to describe and harder to manage. He processes through environment. He reads texture rather than structure. His conclusions do not come from assembling evidence. They come from accumulated feel, and feel does not require proof to become conviction. This makes him less predictable than Zeus in some situations, and more dangerous in others. He is close to a direction. He has the current shifts, the coastal battle residue, the quality of silence from the underworld that he has been reading for weeks. He cannot name what he senses. But the feeling has specificity now, and feelings with specificity, in a God who governs through pressure rather than precision, have a way of becoming action without passing through the stage of articulation. The limitation is exactly that. He feels direction without destination. He knows something moved, but not what it was or where it originated. And Poseidon, whatever his capabilities, is not a god comfortable with sustained ambiguity. He will eventually need to resolve the feeling into something he can act on, or set it aside. For now, it remains suspended, unshared, held privately. As long as it stays private, it stays manageable. The moment it enters a conversation, the moment Poseidon says something in council that another god recognizes as compatible with their own private pattern, the isolation breaks. Compatible suspicions, once they meet, do not remain separate. They merge into something more substantial than either was alone. I have been making sure they do not meet, not through intervention, through arrangement, the questions I redirect in council, the topics I allow to close without development, the specific way I occupy Zeus's analytical attention when it risks turning toward Poseidon's behavior. Silence, inside authority, is not passive. It is precision work. Hades I understand most completely, because he and I have been using the same methodology from different positions. He is an observer of systems. He maps them from outside, finds the edges, applies pressure at the margins, and reads the responses. He works slowly, thoroughly, with the patience of a god who is governed alone and has no relationships inside the center to leverage. His approach produced exactly what it was designed to produce. Zeus's attention extended to its edges. The edges became visible. The conditions for the next phase were created. He understood when to stop. That matters. Most gods do not know when to stop. They continue applying pressure past the point where pressure is the right instrument, because pressure is what they know, and continuation feels like progress. Hades recognized the threshold and held position. I respected that. But his position is external. He can map the system from outside and create the conditions that alter it. He cannot enter the system and change it from within, because he is not inside it. He does not sit in Zeus's councils. He does not speak in Olympus's chambers. He does not have the relational access that allows you to shape not only what gods know, but how they interpret what they know. That is where I work, and that work is different in kind from what he did. I spent season 1 in stillness, not passive stillness, the kind that accumulates positioning, that uses restraint to build standing, that allows other gods to define the terrain while you determine which terrain you actually need. Zeus trusts my counsel. He has trusted it for a long time, and the trust is genuine, which makes it more useful than trust that has to be maintained through performance. He does not suspect me of anything. He suspects the margins, the underworld, the sea, the peripheral domains where strange signals have been originating. His suspicion is pointed outward. I am inside the radius of his trust. That is not a coincidence. I have been inside that radius deliberately, carefully, for longer than this season, building exactly the standing that allows me to operate in the space closest to the center without being examined the way the margins are examined. He looks outward because the disturbances have come from outside. He does not look at the source of his own interpretations. The source of interpretation is where I am positioned. The system is not holding. I know this because I know what holding looks like. And this is not it. This is the appearance of stability, the surface presentation of a structure that has returned to baseline while everything beneath the surface continues its slow redistribution. The signals are quiet. The monitoring has found nothing. Zeus is extended but has not collapsed. Poseidon is suspicious but has not spoken. From the outside, it looks resolved. It is not resolved. It is suspended. And suspended systems do not maintain suspension indefinitely. They either return to their original state or they tip. The question is always what produces the tip and in which direction, and who is positioned to shape that direction before it becomes irreversible. I am positioned, not loudly, not visibly, not in any way that Zeus's heightened monitoring would detect as a threat, because I do not present as a threat. I present as what I have always presented as, the god he trusts most inside the system he governs. They think the system is holding. They are wrong. It is already moving. And this time, it will move from within.